So hey everybody, look, sorry about the air conditioner, it gets warm in my office. But YouTube, how the heck y'all been, everybody? Hope you guys and gals have all been doing well. As you all know by now, my name is Terry. I like to talk about tech, cameras, streaming, whatever I happen to want to talk about on this channel. And today is no different. Y'all know a few months back, whenever my good friends over at YOLO Live were kind enough to send me their brand new YoloCam S3 4K webcam. Well, I thought they couldn't top that. I was like, this camera here is better than my Keo Pro Ultra. And you guys all know, back in the day, I called that Razer webcam the best webcam I have ever used. Then this little guy here came along, and it blew me away. The autofocus is way better. In my opinion, the overall camera quality is also sharper. Like, this thing for 200 bucks is actually insane. But then YOLO Live reached out to me again recently and said, Terry, we have something coming next that is going to blow your socks off, and make sure you're sitting down because you might fall down. And I thought to myself, you know what? There is no way that anything could be better than this already. And then they sent it to me, y'all. And all I can say is that this webcam is so much more than a webcam. And a matter of fact, it looks just as good as my A7 IV you were just watching. Let's talk about it. All right, everybody, look, I've teased you guys and gals enough. I do apologize. So what exactly is this beast of a camera? Is this like another mirrorless camera that I went out and got, or that YOLO Live sent me? Well, technically speaking, yes, this is a mirrorless camera, and we'll get to that here in a minute, but this is their brand new webcam, everybody. This here is their YoloCam S7, and this has really completely changed my mind on what can and cannot be considered a webcam, you know, because you would think to get this kind of quality, you would need an absolutely massive sensor from any kind of webcam, right? And let's be honest here, folks, my YoloCam S3 was absolutely fantastic, but nowhere near this level of quality. And also, did you see that there, folks, how fast that autofocus was? You know why, y'all? Time of flight sensor. This thing uses freaking lasers for autofocus. How cool is that, right? Think of like LiDAR, but not as complex. That's a very surface level way of explaining that, but just think of it that way, okay? And look at that nice, creamy, blurry bokeh behind me. Like, that's not an effect, y'all. That is actual lens blur, like actual real bokeh fall off. So how can YOLO Live actually achieve this kind of quality? Well, y'all, this plug-and-play webcam, yes, folks, because it is still considered a plug-and-play webcam, it is a full-on micro four thirds sensor. It's a 10 megapixel micro four thirds sensor. So because of that, it does use the standard micro four thirds lens mount. So let's say you have some old vintage glass you want to throw on this thing, as long as it's the MFT mount, you totally could. Now keep in mind, you might have to adjust focus manually because, you know, it can't communicate with the YOLO Live software, and we'll get into that here in a minute too, folks. But as far as functioning, go for it. Why not? But keep in mind though, folks, that YOLO Live, they did reach out and tell me that they do recommend either the Panasonic Lumix 15mm or the Panasonic Lumix 25mm. They found that in their own testing, those two lenses seem to be the most compatible to get the most features out of this camera. But spoiler though here, folks, that's not what I'm using on this camera right now. It's going to blow your mind. So what's so great about this camera? Well, folks, as we all know, again, it is a plug and play style webcam with a fully interchangeable camera lens system. You can power it via USB-C. That's how I also have it going to my PC as well. But because this camera is way bigger than any kind of standard webcam, you are going to need two different USB ports. Of course, one USB-C for data going to your PC. And then, of course, you're going to need a dedicated power brick with USB-C to plug this thing into, of course, for power. And since we're talking about connectivity for the camera here, it also has its own built-in microphone jack. So that way there you can plug a microphone directly into the camera, making setup that much more simple in software. It even has its own built-in hot shoe for the microphone to attach as well. And y'all, I almost forgot to mention one of the coolest things about this, like literally the coolest thing about this. You never got to worry about it overheating because it has an all aluminum body. So if you want to stream for 24 hours straight, this camera's definitely built tough for it. And y'all remember that little trick I showed you guys in my last video about the YoloCam S3, how you can take it from horizontal
to vertically because of its magnetic base. Well, you can do the same thing with the S7 here, just not with the magnetic base. You actually got to screw it into the mount here, right? But as you can tell there, though, folks, I have mine set up horizontally for this kind of content right here and for my Twitch streams, twitch.tv/ohheyterry. But the bracket that they give you, it actually allows you to turn the camera up on its side for vertical content as well. And you'll still get the same snappy autofocus, the same high quality 4K 30 footage that you're seeing right now. And frankly, folks, it'll give you the best dang footage on TikTok you've ever seen. And y'all, I cannot stress this enough. Everything that you're seeing right now is being sent over USB-C to my PC. There is no cam link. A matter of fact, I actually went out and bought a cam link just for this because some other videos I saw online said that this camera can only top out at 1080p 60 via USB-C, but this is straight up 4K 30. But the fun part though, folks, is that it actually can do 4K 60 via MJPEG, which is what I'm filming in right now, over USB-C as well. But for these talking head videos like this here, I tend to stick to 4K 30. So hey everybody, look, wanted to give you all a point of clarification here, okay? Because this part was kind of confusing to me as well. So I reached out to Yolo Live and they clarified it all up here. The 1080p limitation for, USB connectivity, that's just limited to their live switcher. It's called their Yolo box, right? But whenever you plug this thing in via USB to any kind of computer system, you truly do get full 4K 60 capability. Just wanted to let you guys know. All right, everybody, so pardon the face tracking box around my face because, obviously it's tracking my face here for autofocus and whatnot. But just to give you guys another quick little example here of the autofocus for this thing, because of that time of flight sensor, y'all, it's just as quick as my phase detect autofocus in my A7 IV. And again, just for showing stuff to the camera, as long as I'm covering my face up, it's beautiful. I love it. And that is, adjustable here in the software as well. Okay. But for video settings here we go. You can either do 16:9 or 9:16 for the vertical stuff. And as you can see here, folks, I know this is only a 30 frames per second video. I do apologize. But again, over USB, it does in fact give me the option for 60 frames per second, which is what it is set to right now. But again, I like to record at 30. So I'm going to just take it back down to 30 as I usually do. But yeah, again, y'all, maybe there might have been a firmware update or something, but I'm able to get 4K 60 via USB-C as long as I use MJPEG and OBS Studio for, the high frame rate 4K 60. Maybe that wasn't available previously, but it's available to me now. So that's what I'm going to tell you guys here. Okay. And of course, folks, it also does have its own HDMI output as well. So you can either, plug it into your PC via a Camlink 4K or maybe even one of Yolo Live's own solutions for that kind of thing. Folks, just while I'm in here, I've already said this about this software in my YoloCam S3 webcam video, but I really do got to give Yolo Live props for this software. It is one of the most comprehensive pieces of software that I've ever had the actual pleasure of using for changing settings on my webcam or just controlling my webcam here in general. You know what I mean? It's just as simple to use it with this high-end webcam from Yolo Live, the S7, than it is with the S3 as well here, okay? So again, you got all of your basic settings right here, but because of how quick this autofocus is, y'all, here in the focus tab, you can actually change the focus speed from slow to medium to fast. I like to have mine on fast. It's just a personal preference, but totally up to you here. For zoom, you can come in here and play around with the stuff, and you can even set some, hotkey functionality just to pop in and out if you want to. Exposure, the same thing right here. I always do manual, and y'all, this lens is an f1.4 lens. I love this lens so much, but again, we'll get to that in just a minute here, okay? And you know what, folks? Speaking of ISO, this camera does actually have a dual native ISO, so that way there you'll get a nice clean image with high ISO values and also with lower ISO values as well. And y'all, you know what? I'm not gonna lie here to y'all, okay? This auto white balance, I think, is the best auto white balance I've ever actually have tried, y'all. This is my own manual settings here, okay? And you know what? For once ever, I think the auto settings actually look better than what I tried to do myself. In my humble opinion here, y'all, I think some other webcam companies out there should take note of that. I'm just throwing that out there. And then again here, folks, because it has its own built-in microphone port, here's your settings for the audio for the microphone, but obviously I'm not using that. But it also has its own built-in noise reduction for the microphone, so that's pretty cool. Now, y'all, look, I know that this webcam, it looks fantastic, it performs wonderfully, but the big secret I've been kind of sort of keeping from you guys and gals is what lens I'm using. I really wanted to save this for last because it truly did blow me away, okay? I did mention a little while ago that they do recommend either the Panasonic Lumix 15mm f1.7 or the Panasonic Lumix 25mm f1.7 as well. But for the first time ever, YoloLive has actually came out with their own first-party lens, and that's exactly what you're looking at right now. Y'all say hello to the YoloLive 18mm f1.4. You heard me right, y'all. f1.4. It's a really nice lightweight design that I happen to like a lot, and it also has a full-on metal lens mount, so that way there you know that it can take the abuse. And if you're the kind of person that likes to throw a filter on your lens, the filter diameter is 46mm. And the best part, in my humble opinion here, about YoloLive offering their very own first-party lens is that you know for a fact that this lens will be 100% compatible with not only the S7 as a webcam, but also for their software as well. Now, this is the part in the video where I talk about price, and this is the thing that I know a lot of y'all out there don't like to talk about, like to hear, but I love to be transparent with you guys and gals out there in the audience, so here we go, okay? This camera, it is expensive. It's not going to be like your $200 YoloCam S3. Heck, it's not even going to be like some of your other webcams out there from other competing companies, right? Because this is quite literally a full-on interchangeable mirrorless camera. It's a micro four thirds system here, okay? It is a $700 body. I know that's going to be a hard pill for many of you out there to swallow, and I do apologize for that. But also at the same time, don't blame me, y'all. Like I don't set the prices here. And this lens, in my humble opinion, this lens is actually a pretty good deal. Again, it's an 18mm f1.4 lens for $300. And that actually is comparable to the same type of focal length from other manufacturers out there, including ones from Panasonic Lumix. But again though, y'all, because it's YoloLive's own first party lens, the compatibility, you know, it's just going to work with this body. But you might be saying to yourself, well, Terry, you have something like a Sony a7 IV that can act as a webcam by itself the same way this here can. Just plug in a USB, don't even need excess power from the wall or anything. What gives? Well, here's the thing, y'all, right? A lot of these high-end mirrorless cameras out there, they do in fact, straight up, not gonna lie, they do have a built-in plug-and-play mode to act just like a webcam. The downside of that is, though, is that some of the lower-end ones are only limited to 720p output. This is a high-end camera, y'all. The a7 IV might not be the best of the best, but it's definitely still up there in my opinion. The USB output on this thing taps out at 1080p 60. I could go up to 4K, but at 4K over USB-C, it's limited to just 4K 15 frames per second, and nobody wants to stream at 15 frames per second, y'all. Come on. So if you're somebody out there and you know for a fact that you need the best looking 4K 60 out there just over USB, so it truly quite literally is plug and play, throw a lens on there, you're good to go with OBS, this could be right up your alley. And again, everybody, if you get this combo right now with the lens, what you see right here is what you get. And I know I said this at the beginning of the video, but y'all, again, huge shout out to the team over at YoloLive for sending out this entire kit to me for the video. I do greatly appreciate it. Believe me when I say my streams have never looked better. And besides, the fact that I can get this kind of quality for a YouTube video without actually needing to bust out my a7 IV, that is a huge plus. I'm not going to lie. Don't get me wrong. I love this thing for videos, obviously. But you know how nice it is to just sit down here, open up OBS and hit record? Like, it's great. But if any of y'all out there are actually interested in purchasing one of these beasts of a webcam for yourselves, for your live environments, maybe for some sports stuff, some interview stuff, whatever it might be, I'll have everything down below for you guys. And as always, y'all, once again, my name is Terry. Thanks a lot for coming by, and I'll catch you guys and gals in the next one.